Chapter 1, we have a 1983 Ford F-250 with a 7.5 liter. The customer's complaint is it loses power driving down the road. So this has two fuel tanks, so we hooked up a fuel pressure gauge underneath on the tank. And right now we're on the front fuel tank, and we got 7 psi pressure. The specification is supposed to be 4.3, so we're over the specification. So now we'll go to the rear tank. On the rear tank, you see we have a little more pressure. And it's starting to stabilize a little bit now. It's about 8 or 9 psi on the rear tank. And then what I did earlier is I did a fuel volume test where I relieved the fuel pressure on this hose here for 30 seconds into an empty can, and I had the same amount of fuel on both tanks. So that showed me that even though one tank, now it's coming up to almost 10 psi, so it's a little better than the other one. So what that's telling me is I got enough pressure and I got enough volume. So let me shut the engine off. Since I have enough pressure, enough volume out of both tanks, and the customer says when they switch tanks it changes, well, the rear tank does have a little more pressure, so it probably run a little bit better. The culprit is this part up here, and it's right here on the fuel inlet line, and it looks like a fuel filter, but what it is a fuel pressure regulator. There's a fuel filter in the front of the carburetor over here inside this fitting. If you unscrew this, there's a filter inside of there. But this is a fuel pressure regulator. So this regulator is all clogged up and it's not allowing fuel to get to the engine in the first place. So what we're going to do is we're going to send it over to a carburetor shop that specializes in these type of things and have them take a look at it. And then we're going to tighten her valve cover bolts. We changed the gaskets a few years ago, and the bolts have come loose a little bit because we used a cork gasket, so we're going to snug those up for her, put everything back together, replace one of the fuel lines underneath there. Everything else looks pretty good. So it's an older truck, but it's one of the issues you have to do research, and you have to have a few friends in the industry, and I do have a friend at a carburetor place, and he told me to bring it over to him, and he's going to put a new pressure regulator in there because a lot of the ones that you buy from the Ford manufacturer are no good. So I just said I'll send you the whole job, send the customer over there, and he rebuilt this carburetor in this vehicle in 2005 too. So that's a little tip from John Sadler's. Be aware of what you're working on, ask for help, look around, find out. When something looks like a filter, it's actually a pressure regulator. So, and that's what's not allowing the fuel to get in the carburetor, giving it a lean condition, suspecting that we had a bad fuel pump or we didn't have enough fuel volume. But as you can see, we had enough of both because the spec was only 4.3 and we had 10 on one and 6 or 7 on the other. So thank you very much. Have a nice day.